All right, so we're going to start recording. All right, so number 10, red influential Tara. And red influential Tara is the 10th emanation of, and her Tibetan name is Jigten Sumle Gyalma, which signifies the triumph and streaming of her victory banner and her exuberant mood. So, Shraddha, did you ever go to the ashram in South Fallsburg?
Yes, I did.
And you know they had the flag over that said the guru was in?
Yes.
That's like the victory banner. The guru
Oh,
was in.
yeah. Right.
So she is what is known as the Jolly Red Influential Tara. And she overcomes what in Buddhism they call the three realms. And I like to think of her as the social laugh it off deity who recognizes those vulnerable parts of yourself that may have been severely hurt and still hurting. But you can make a joke about it and you can move past your hurt and attachment of the issue. So she is jolly and fun to be with, and she's like a fun aunt or grandma who boosts your overall mood and self-confidence with her fun demeanor. And she's carrying that flag, which means, you know, she's just on a little jaunt. And her unique ability as a red Tara. So there's different colored Taras, and the red Taras are all about protection and magnetizing. So when they say magnetize, it attracts the good energy. And so that's what the red Taras are about. And she magnetizes worldly activities that cause a disconnect from what you would call your non-dual spacious awareness, your own like beautiful self-realization, enlightenment that's in there all the time, but that worldly activities have caused a disconnect, and we're all dealing with that, you know. So she magnetizes, which means she attracts open awareness to come forth to you with her humor and larger than life spirit. And she is a deity who guides individuals towards acting with pure intention in the world. And so by invoking her presence, which we're going to do tonight, you can experience joy and laughter that aids in clarifying their motivation. So sometimes we all just need to look at the funny side of life. So the power of joy and laughter is so strong that it can drive away darkness and sadness. And it's only natural that both internal and negative thoughts and external troubles would be afraid of the simple but yet mighty force of a laugh. So what's intriguing about the 10th Tara, who's famous for her laughter, that is she is considered to be semi-wrathful, which means that her laughter is a strong medicine. She's not messing around. And the mantra she uses to express herself is filled with 8 different types of laughter. Ha, ha, hi, hi, he, how, ho, and ha. Those are her 8 different types of laughter. And these sounds can empower all living beings and guide them towards liberation on their spiritual journey. So I became aware of finding the humorous side of things as part of many satsangs and gatherings with spiritual teachers over the years. And I first experienced it when doing weekend retreats with a teacher I met in the 1980s named Ram Butler. Did you ever get his newsletter or study with Ram Butler? He was a city yoga teacher. And he was a tall man from Mississippi who had.
Oh, he was so funny.
I know. That's why I'm talking about him. Yeah. He was a tall man from Mississippi who had met the Indian guru Baba Muktananda in the 1970s in New York. And Ram had been studying meditation since he was 15 years old, and he wrote a bi-weekly newsletter explaining the whole spiritual experience to his students. So after meeting Baba Muktananda, he continued to write these 10-page letters on and off until his passing in 2018. So for over 40 years, he dedicated himself to crafting a continuous course of non-dual philosophy and spiritual wisdom, touching the lives of countless students, of which I was one, and it sounds like of which you also were one. And he also sparked profound transformations. And Ram possessed wisdom, humor. When you say he was hilariously funny, he really was. Genuineness, approachability, and an abundance of love. So at least once a year, or sometimes more, I would go on one of his weekend retreats. And a few times I participated in making them happen, and even cooked lunch for all the participants one time. And the thing I loved about these events was how casual and funny they were. Now, Shraddha, did you ever go to any of his workshops?
Oh, yes, I did. As often as I could.
And he was hilarious. All you did, sat there and laughed all weekend.
Yep. Yep.
And he talked very slowly in his southern drawl, and he would tell stories of his life, and they were always hilariously funny. And if you tried to repeat them, no one would think they were funny. But the way something about it, it was very funny. And then other people would share, ask questions, and inevitably that was even funnier. And we all sat around all weekend in a rented hall somewhere in Boston or New York ashrams and laughed hysterically for 2 days. And people would get up and talk about their spiritual awakenings and the things that would happen to them with all kinds of ultimate seriousness. And in a few words, Ram would point out some very funny irony in this previously very intense and serious sharing, where there would even be some tears. And before we knew it, the whole room was holding their bellies and laughing straight out loud. Oftentimes, I wasn't even sure I knew what was so funny. But all I knew was that I couldn't stop laughing. And this was my first experience of how powerful humor could be in your evolution. And one time, I was in a hall in the New York City Yoga Ashram, and there were many photos of saints and siddhas from India on the wall. I mean, this was an old hall. It was in the back of Atmaniti, and they didn't use it very much anymore. Later, they built like a yoga studio there, but at the time, it was from like Baba's era. And there were big, huge photos of all the saints and siddhas that were Baba's favorite, special ones. And they were up on the wall, and they were surrounding the room, and we were all sitting in the middle of the room. So just for anyone who's listening to this, a siddha is an awakened or enlightened person in both the Hindu and Buddhist traditions. And Ram would often talk about certain siddhas and saints and how they got enlightened, and then what they did after they got enlightened. It was always a big topic of conversation. And he was talking about Baba Muktananda and his relationship with him. And he asked Baba about the pictures on the wall and why they were there. And Baba told him that if he attained any of the same states of consciousness that these people had, then he would put his picture on the wall too. Deadpanned to the room. Just think, you could all end up with your photos on the wall. And the room broke out in hysterical pandemonium. People were rolling on the floor laughing about this. Everyone thought this idea was so funny. And if you weren't there, you won't even see the humor. But there was something about the spiritual energy of the group with Ram that created all the laughing. And at the time, I didn't know what this was about. All I knew was that I liked it and I felt lighter and more open afterwards. Later, I took many weekend meditation intensives with Guru Mai Chidvilasananda at her New York State City Yoga Ashram. And these were Friday night through Sunday afternoon gatherings where we would listen to talks, chant mantras, and we meditated in her tradition from India. And it was during this time with Guru Mai that I also experienced a lot of funny moments and laughing as part of the process. And Guru Mai had this little deep-throated ha 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 that she would end a story with. And this ha 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 would practically transform my inner being. It was like the ultimate release. Do you know what I'm talking about, Shraddha?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And even Harish does it too. He does the same little ha 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 at the end of things. But ultimately, I didn't think laughing was an actual transformative experience, or at least I didn't recognize its power and intensity until a couple of years ago when I started studying red influential Tara and learning from the Buddhist perspective that this is an actual part of the enlightenment process. I mean, you can laugh your way and they talk about laughing yoga. It's almost kind of the same thing. Laugh your way to enlightenment. They talk about, you're on the dirt road and then you get on the 8-lane highway to enlightenment. Well, laughing, it can be one of the pathways. And those times when I had seen the humor in my transformations, I had not realized they were integral and important. I didn't realize that this was part of the process. A lot of times you go through processes in your sadhana and you don't even realize what's really going on. And in my Western mind, they were just part of the fun times of things. I just thought it was fun. And it was. But there was more to it. So red influential Tara, the 10th emanation in the mandala of the 21 Taras, is such an incredible teaching. When thinking about her victory banner, so she's sitting on her lotus throne and she has her utpala flower coming out of her left hand and it's up by her ear, and out of the utpala flower is this victory banner. And her resonant laughing appearance. And so I had a huge aha moment. I knew the path, but I never really understood it was a way I was overcoming my own ego and patterns. So the laughing can actually break through a lot of ego stuff. Because when you're awakening and evolving, a lot of times your ego gets really attached to the anxiety and suffering of things. And when it does that, a lot of times newly awakened people, they have really a hard time. And a lot of times life is tough. It's hard and there is a lot of suffering. But in your enlightenment process, you learn to kind of let it go and see the joy that lies underneath everything. And in a way, I didn't really realize that laughing could be part of overcoming my ego and my samskaras and patterns. So when practicing this sequence, it opened up a vivid and transformative way of accessing this energy. So yes, seeing the funny side of things with exuberance is an actual spiritual practice. And it's very important to understand that in the mantras that we say for the taras, that one mantra, tutare, I didn't really understand that tutari is associated with this supreme joy that's almost like this bubbling up laughing. And little did I know, laughing was a way to clear the inner channels and open you up to non-dual awareness. And so let's just talk about a little bit more about her appearance. She's radiating an aura of divine red brilliance from her very being. Vibrant beams of red wisdom light extend in all 10 directions around her. And it just transverses the entire expanse, the vast expanse of the universe. And these luminous rays serve as a testament to her boundless compassion as they carry her blessings and protection to every sentient being in existence. So Tara's body is a vibrant, rich red color. And in her left hand, as I mentioned, is the blue utpala, or you can imagine it as a lotus flower, with the victory banner standing tall in the center. And this banner represents the ultimate victory over our delusions and the attainment of inner realization. So as you envision this awe-inspiring sight, focus on the power of Tara's laughter. She is laughing uproariously with each joyous peal, with each ha-ha, hoo-hoo, ha-ha-ha. A remarkable transformation takes place. The external forces of arrogance and mightiness representing by towering figures of dominance are instantaneously subdued. They shrink in stature, and their once imposing presence is reduced to nothing. But the transformation does not end there. Within ourselves lies the internal mighty one, our ego, our self-importance. Is everyone looking at me? Am I important to this situation? Our ego is always looking to find that in that mighty one, that importance, that dominance, so that it can feel like it's important. And so, if you have ever met any people that are pretty awakened, a lot of times they're very nondescript. And they're very, you can't even attribute much to them. They seem very simple oftentimes. And that's because the mighty one has been subdued. They don't have to try to impress you with their mighty one, or that self-importance. So as you immerse yourself in the visualization that we're going to do coming up, witness how Tara's laughter, and just even visualizing herself as laughing, permeates every fiber of your being with her red light and her laughter. So you feel the mighty one within you being gently tamed and transformed. Its dominating nature giving way to a state of tranquility and harmony. So the laughter is a powerful pacification tool or weapon employed by this Tara. And in this state of gentle peace, you are liberated from the chains of ego-driven desires and self-centered pursuits. And her transformative power has unlocked the door to your own inner sanctuary, where humility and compassion flourish. So underneath the mighty one, the one that attaches to all the suffering and all your samskaras and all the burning and all the tapasya and all the issues and all those things, there is supreme joy underneath all that. People just don't realize that it's there. And so that transformative power can kind of unlock the door to that. So we want to embrace this profound shift and allow yourself to be enveloped in the all-encompassing love and protection that this Tara bestows upon you and all sentient beings. So we're just going to talk about her praise. I also have cards, and her praise and her mantra are on the cards. I sell the cards on Etsy if you ever are interested in those. But in the email, I sent you a copy of it, so maybe you can see that. So the praise, they call it a praise, but really it's a teaching. I praise the one who spreads the supreme joy and the garlands of light. So when she laughs and those red rays come out from her, which shine. Now she has a diadem, a crown, and the rays come off her crown, her diadem, and she bursts out laughing with joyous exclamation. And the mantra tutare means joy, that supreme joy of enlightenment, of victory over overcoming your obscurations and your issues and your samskaras. And so this joy and this supreme laughter places the demons and worldly gods under her power. So let's just talk about the meaning, because sometimes these teachings have little deeper meanings. The deeper meaning behind Tara's joyous delight represents the concept of self-inherent blissfulness. And so I talked about that here. That's always there. That self-inherent blissfulness is always there underneath. It's just covered by the clouds of light. Similarly, her garlands of light symbolize the white element. So that is the white channel. The white channel is the moon channel in your body. And usually it's on the right side of your body. But it also could be like a caduceus, where it waves and it goes around your Sushumna Nadi, your central channel, from your pelvic floor to the crown of your head. So the garlands of light represent the white element, which is located on the crown chakra and emits light in all directions. So if she's so enlightened that the light is up in her crown, that white light, and the word tutare signifies the powerful and passionate longing, which is the essence of this practice. So if you have that bhakti, that longing to be enlightened, to get rid of all your shit, to laugh it off, to let it go, however that is. Sometimes you just have to laugh it off. So according to tradition, this Tara has 8 different moods when she laughs, and the practice involves working with 8 movements of the essences relating to Tara's 8 ways of laughing to increase bliss. So every time now, after studying her, I hear somebody laugh. I'm like, I'm wondering which one of those laughs it is. So when you start hearing laughing, even on TV and things like that, you're like, oh, what is this getting rid of? This self-born bliss that's always inherent within you. It gets broken through by the laughter, and it spreads throughout the white channel and the chakra system in various radiant forms, awakening everything with great joy and causing bellowing laughter. So now we know what Ram was doing. And sometimes in those intensives, people would have these intense laughing kriyas. Did you ever have those or see people who had them? Maybe you're not there right now. Well, I sure did.
Yes. Oh, yes. I'm sorry. I have a hard time with my speaker going on and off, but I definitely have had those.
Right. Yeah. And so, you're like, why am I laughing? And it's just there types of kriyas that are allowing the energy to move through you. And so when you understand that it's the white energy moving through the white channels, clearing things out, doesn't that make like a lot of sense?
Yeah.
And so the arising of self-born bliss transforms regular pleasurable sensations, which under ordinary circumstances give a rise to attachment or clinging. So, you can be very attached to the way you cook your soup, or the way you drive your car, or the way you, have your favorite chair. We have these little, our favorite people, our relationships. We cling to these things. Our concepts of who we are. Are we mother, sister, parent, dog owner? We cling cling, we attach to these things. And these habits of attachment, and it's not that they're wrong or bad, but we have them. They're known in Buddhism as maras, and which are overpowered by the laughter and by this Tara. So amaras arise based on the perception of like our ordinary body and our ordinary life, and also our ordinary speech, our ordinary mind. And they can create obstacles that these practices destroy. And they are replaced by the realization of what is called the Vraja body, which is the thunderbolt body. So this is Vrajayana Buddhism. So out beneath the ordinary body is the Vraja body, the Vraja body, speech, and mind. And in this context, when we talk about the three worlds, there my dog just barked, they represent the ordinary obscuring view of body, speech, and mind, which this practice aims to overcome. And I've been doing this practice a lot in the last 2 weeks because, you know, when I'm going to be doing a little presentation, I do the practice a lot. And it really is blowing my mind about how I'm really connecting to that joy within, and how I see that it's beyond ordinary. And by doing so, you can achieve realization of the Vraja body, speech, and mind. So we oftentimes talk about the Dzogchen understanding. Dzogchen is a little offshoot of Vajrayana Buddhism, and it's a very enlivened path. So to study Dzogchen, you get a lot of nice little secret little teachings that the teachers in the Dzogchen lineage have been enlightened using these practices and understandings. So in the Dzogchen understanding, Tara's magnificent and joyous delight represents the concept of that self-born awareness. Now in Tibetan, they call that Rang Yung Yeshi. And I just love that. Rang Yung Yeshi. That means like enlightenment. And the first step towards achieving this awareness is just recognizing it, or even just being introduced to it. I mean, the minute I ever heard the words Rang Yung Yeshi, it was like a little introduction, like Rang Yung Yeshi, kind of little zing went through me. And the next step is to apply the teachings and practice, which leads to 3 different attainments. So the first attainment is the development of a strong intellectual understanding of self-born awareness. So, I mean, you and I both have seen enlightened people like Guru Mai and like Ram and some of the Swamis and people at the ashram, and we have seen what self-born awareness looks like. We you know, have you ever like actually realized that? Or
Oh yeah, yeah.
all right, so that's just like the first step. You like recognize it. It's out there in the world. And you may even recognize it a little bit in yourself, you know.
Hmm.
And that's just the intellectual understanding. So both you and I, Shraddha, have that intellectual understanding. So that's the first step. The second step is deepening the experience of the Rang Yung Yeshi, and they call that Rigpa. Rigpa is that self-born awareness, and that's that spacious, non-dual energy that comes when you do these practices. And they are a natural offshoot and evolution of what happened to you. Then the third attainment is the complete realization of self-born awareness. In other words, that energy gets you and you become that awareness and that consciousness, and the non-dual consciousness starts to become more vibrating in you, more than your ordinary life and your ordinary body. And it allows, it enables you to transmute and liberate all your conceptions into the enlightened state. And that subjugates the maras and the world. So you can live in the world and you can have all the problems of the world, but you can also understand and also live in the state of being in the Vraja state beyond that as well. So this realization represents the true face of Mother Tara, or the true nature of the wisdom Dakini, which liberates all phenomena into wisdom energy. So I know you took some Dakini stuff with me, and if you could also think of her almost like this very powerful, wrathful red Dakini. And by overcoming our habits of grasping and ego clinging, we can achieve the realization. And we can also help others to overcome their obstacles as well. And this is the state of Jigten Sumle Gyalma, red influential Tara. She's so influential that she overpowers the maras of the world, the ordinary world. So, and we do know that people that are very funny, they get further in the world because they're able to overpower and magnetize, just even in the ordinary world. That comedians and people who can make a joke are well liked, and it magnetizes. So we can see how this works just from looking at ordinary life. So let's just talk about her mantra. Red influential Tara's mantra, Om Tare Tu Tare Ture. So that all the 21 Taras start with Om Tu Tare Ture. And Om Tare. So Om is universal consciousness. Tare is another word for Tara. And it can mean star or guidance. Tutare is that supreme joy, that little bit of enlightenment. So when you go to a cocktail party and somebody comes out with a little plate of these delicious little shrimp on toast, and you take one of those little delectable with a little cream cheese, a little chive on top, and you taste that, it's just this tiny little delicious taste. Well, tutare is like that. It's the delicious little hors d'oeuvre taste of enlightenment. And that's what that mantra signifies. Then the second part of the Mara, also tutare denotes the act of liberation, freeing yourself from the shackles of fear and suffering. So you're just, by that supreme joy, you free yourself. And that arises from a profound sense of love that we feel towards ourselves and all beings when we tap into the consciousness of Tara. And when we do the practices of Tara, we're tapping into her consciousness and her flavor. Each one of the Taras has different teachings and a different flavor of enlightenment. So we're tapping into this. And this feeling of joy is so powerful, it gives rise to what they call bodhicitta. And bodhicitta is that desire to attain enlightenment for the benefit of all beings. So you're not just doing these practices for you, for yourself. You're doing it for the people around you, your family, your neighborhood, all the people on your Facebook page, your yoga class, the people in the grocery store. You're doing it for everyone, not just yourself. And the Maras, forces that can manifest in various ways, they pose a challenge to our efforts towards awakening. And Loka are the forces. So anyway, the mantra, the second part of the mantra is Mara Loka Vashyam Kuru Swaha. And I sent you a picture of the card in the email, and that mantra is on there. So if you want to go look for that later so that you realize this. So when we we understand that the Maras are the forces that manifest in various ways that pose a challenge for us in our process. And Loka is a way to influence those forces. We're looking to bring the forces under control, regardless of where they are located. Then the part of the mantra that says Vashyam Kuru is we're asking Tara to take control over the mantras, the Maras. So in other words, we can't always do it ourselves. Let's ask her to do it for us. She's going to transform it for us quickly and efficiently. That's what Kuru means. So ultimately, it redirects their energy towards our spiritual growth. So when you say Vashyam Kuru as part of the mantra, the Kuru means, I don't mean maybe, Tara. I don't mean maybe you'll help me. I don't mean, well, if you feel like it, will you help me? You're saying, do it, Tara. Do it now. I'm ready for it. Then at the end is Swaha, which is a little seal on the end of the mantra. Make it so. Let it be so. So the mantra again is Om Tade, Tu Tade, Tude, Mara Loka Vashyam Kuru Swaha. And the meanings and everything are on the card that I sent you. So the practice. So we're going to start the practice now. And we always start our practice with an invitation and visualization of Tara in our imagination. So if imagining is difficult for you, you can just feel the feeling of Tara within yourself. But we also just start with visualizing large, spacious night sky. So we're going to do our practice. So get comfortable. You can sit up or you can lay down. We're going to just imagine a night sky, an open ocean, or vast space. And in that vast space is the circle of the mandala of the 21 Taras, with green Tara at the center and the orbs of the different colored Taras surrounding her in a circle. So the first thing we do is we invite green Tara to take form before us. And she appears as a luminous, subtle body of green light, seated on a moon cushion in the center of her lotus throne. And surrounding her, we ask our teachers, our masters, our loved ones, we surround her with a retinue of our friends, our supporters, our children. You could just have like regular teachers like from your school, but you could also have your spiritual masters. And sometimes it could be very tedious. You don't want to name every single one. And you don't really have time for that. So you just say, Tara, I ask that my masters, teachers, loved ones, and guides surround green Tara, who's seated on a moon cushion in the center of her lotus throne, with all 21 emanations of Tara in the background appearing in various colors. And we just imagine our friends, our loved ones, and I just always imagine it as just a mob of people with the Taras all around. And this visualization continues until there's an infinite number of beings surrounding you. And they are going to receive the blessings of our practice with her light pouring into us and those around us. And we start by saying the green Tara praise with an homage to her and the root mantra, which is Om Tade, Tu Tade, Tude, Swaha. And we repeat the green Tara praise. And this kind of invokes her first. So we always invoke her first. All gods and non-gods bow down, touching their crowns to her lotus feet. She removes all forms of poverty, both material and spiritual. And we prostrate to Mother Tara and praise the venerable, exalted Tara. Tare, the liberator, is swift and courageous, removing all fear through Tutari and bestowing all benefits through Tori. And the green Tara mantra can be broken down. We broke it down a little bit, but I'll just do it really quickly. Om, sound of enlightened consciousness. Tare means star, savioress, liberator. Tutare, supreme joy from having glimpses of the enlightened state. Tore is the swift remover of fear. Swaha, so be it, let it be so. Next, we speak the refuge prayer. And you can do this verbally or internally to yourself. I'm just going to say the very simple. There's a longer refuge prayer, but I'm going to say the simple version. I take refuge in the Buddha Tara, the Dharma teachings, and the Sangha, a spiritual community of followers. So that could be you and me, Shraddha, but also anyone who watches this video. And now we repeat the bodhicitta prayer. Through the practice of giving, ethical conduct, patience, diligence, and concentration and wisdom, may I reach full enlightenment to be of benefit to all living beings. May I be filled with compassion and kindness. May I be an instrument of peace, and may I work for the benefit of all those around me. May my actions be pure and motivated by love, so that every corner of this world is touched by its radiance. May we all cultivate our inner light and use it to spread joy, understanding, and unity in this world. Now, as part of the practice, we repeat the 4 immeasurables. And the 4 immeasurables are important because they actually point out that supreme beauty and joy that lies within each of us. So we say it, may all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all beings be free from sorrow and the causes of sorrow. May all beings never be separated from the sacred happiness which is sorrowless. And when we say, may all beings never be separated, I want you to just kind of look at that line in a different way. In other words, you're acknowledging that that sacred happiness is always there underneath everything. It never leaves you. It's never left you from the moment you're born. And so when we ask that nobody be separated from the sacred happiness, we're acknowledging that that sacred happiness is like a real thing. And it's sorrowless. It's not affected by your suffering. And we're looking to find that part of ourselves. And so we ask that may all beings live in equanimity, that's equal vision. Guru Maharaj used to talk about equal vision all the time, without attachment for those we hold close, or aversion for those we hold at a distance, and live believing in the equality of all that lives. So sometimes it's better if we keep certain people at a distance. That doesn't mean that we don't have love for them. We can just love them from over there. And sometimes we need to have those boundaries in our life. So we don't have to let everybody in and make us crazy. We can hold certain people close, but even we don't have to have an aversion to them. Some people put Donald Trump on their puja just for that reason. And live believing in the equality of all that lives. So bring forth right now, we're going to start the practice even more. We're going deeper. We're going to take green taras in the center, but that bubble, the red bubble of red influential Tara, the 10th emanation, is behind green Tara. And that bubble of light is going to come forward in front of the green Tara. And red influential Tara's form radiates with a deep red brilliance. And from her very being, vibrant beams of red wisdom light extend in all 10 directions. And as they carry her blessings and protection to every sentient being in existence. So Tara's body is vibrant red, a rich red color. And in her left hand, she holds the blue lotus flower with the victory banner standing tall in the center. That represents the victory of overcoming your obstacles, your maras, your obscurations. And it represents the ultimate victory over delusions and the victory of attaining your own realization. And as you envision this sight, focus on the power of Tara's laughter. She is laughing uproariously, and with each exuberant laugh, a transformation takes place. The external forces of arrogance and mightiness are subdued, and within ourselves lies an internal. And in ourselves and in other people, there's that internal mighty one, our ego, our self-importance. So when we immerse ourselves in the visualization, we're going to witness how Tara's laughter permeates every fiber of our being, and we'll feel the mighty one within ourselves being gently tamed and transformed. It's dominating nature, giving way to a state of tranquility and harmony. And so laughter is a powerful pacification tool or weapon employed by this Tara. So again, bring red influential Tara's emanation in front of green Tara. And again, we'll summon our masters, teachers, loved ones, and guides into the visualization as we chant her praise and her mantra. Now, optionally, you can visualize the seed syllables of your Tara. And in my cards and in my book, I have pictures of the seed syllables. This is the Tam. This is the red influential Tara. And the Tam is in the heart, deep in the sternum. And above in the Om is in the crown. And here's a picture of the white Om in the crown. And then there's a red Ah in the throat. And then there's a blue hum that's below the tongue in the heart. And that's just optional. You can just imagine light emanating from those energy centers if you want to. So a more advanced practice is that you visualize the seed syllables, and they're in my book and in my cards. And first thing we do is we make offerings to Tara. So we imagine placing in front of Tara, traditional puja offerings: water to drink, essential oils, flowers, candles, lights, bells, food, music, chimes, bells, whatever you've got going around, and if you have pujas in your house, we'll just ring the little bell for her right now. These are just traditional offerings. But what she really wants is your inner offering. So you can offer any aspect of your life to Tara for transformation. And so whatever we're struggling with in our personal life, or we're feeling distressed about with the state of humanity, and there's plenty of that to go around, you can give those things to Tara. So you can give her your fears, your shames, your needs, your ideas, your problems, and your situations. So if anything comes up, it's a situation, you could have some kind of toxic situation in your life that you're not overcoming, that seems to be an ongoing thing. You could have a relationship that you're having a hard time forgiving. You could have illness or sickness in your family. You could have disappointment. You could have shame. Whatever it is, anything can be offered to Tara. And when you offer her these things, she's going to laugh it off. And we imagine that she's going to laugh it off, and that she's going to use her 8 different types of laughter. And that those 8 different types of laughter are blessings. They're insights. And so after I'm doing this practice, like I said, I hear laughter on the TV, and it's kind of like her laughter, like burning up my fears, my doubts, my um, shame, you know. Everywhere I hear laughter, it starts manifesting in front of me. And so she's transforming your offerings. And it could, if you do her practice, you'll start to notice the transformations coming your way. And these transformations are what they call unobstructed wisdom blessings. And you can use this for your own transformation, but you can also pass it on to others. So just by me telling you about this, it's an opportunity for me to pass it on to you, and maybe you'll pass it on to someone else. And sometimes it can just be an energetic pass on. It doesn't necessarily even have to be verbal. And so we recite the red influential Tara praise one time. So we brought her in, we've said the prayers, we've given her the offerings, just regular offerings, flowers, water, and then we've given her our shame, our fear, our doubts, all those things. Our situations in the world, the war in the Ukraine, you know, the election, whatever it is, you can give it to her. I praise the one, we're going to say her praise, who spreads supreme joy and garlands of light, which shine from her crown, from her diadem. And she bursts out laughing with joyous exclamation, Tu Tare, placing the demons and the worldly gods under her power. And there's plenty of demons around. We know who they are. So let's recite the red influential Tara mantra. And we're going to practice, we're going to say the mantra 21 times. You can use your fingers, or you can use a mala. You have a little prayer bead mala. I like to use my fingers so that I can count it out. But if you want to, you're on your own. You can practice it 108 times, an infinite, 1,000 times. You can do whatever you want, but minimum 21 times. And relax into the tranquility of repeating the mantra and allow its energy to envelope you both internally and externally. So take notice and absorb its essence. After we repeat the mantra, we're going to meditate for a couple of minutes. And this part of the practice is extremely important, because this allows the vibrations of the mantras, asking her to break up the maras, to do it quickly, to keep you from, your ordinary world, and to bring in the Vraja body, to bring in the supreme joy. And this reflects a genuine, deep-rooted bond you have with Tara. And so just know that it allows the energies and the vibrations of the mantra to penetrate your being. So that's what we'll be doing. So before I start the mantra, do you have any questions before we start the mantra?
No, I don't.
Okay. So you ready for this?
Sure.
Just listen to me. I'm not sure if you have the mantra in front of you or not, or if you want to repeat it with me. Do whatever you feel guided.
Okay.
All right. So, Om Tare, Tu Tare, Ture, Mara Loka Vashyam Kuru Swaha. Om Tare, Tu Tare, Ture, Mara Loka Vashyam Kuru Swaha. Om Tare, Tu Tare, Ture, Mara Loka Vashyam Kuru Swaha. Om Tare, Tu Tare, Ture, Mara Loka Vashyam Kuru Swaha. Om Tare, Tu Tare, Ture, Mara Loka Vashyam Kuru Swaha. Om Tare, Tu Tare, Ture, Mara Loka Vashyam Kuru Swaha. Om Tare, Tu Tare, Ture, Loka Vashyam Kuru Swaha. Om Tade, Tutade, Tude. Mara Loka Vashyam Kudu Swaha. Om Tade, Tutade, Tude. Mara Loka Vashyam Kudu Swaha. Om Tade, Tutade, Tude. Mara Loka Vashyam Kudu Swaha. That's 10. We can do 11 more. Om Tade, Tutade, Tude. Mara Loka Vashyam Kudu Swaha. Om Tade, Tutade, Tude. Mara Loka Vashyam Kudu Swaha. Om Tade, Tutade, Tude. Mara Loka Vashyam Kudu Swaha. Om Tade, Tutade, Tude. Mara Loka Vashyam Kudu Swaha. Om Tade, Tutade, Tude. Mara Loka Vashyam Kudu Swaha. Om Tade, Tutade, Tude. Mara Loka Vashyam Kudu Swaha. Om Tade, Tutade, Tude. Mara Loka Vashyam Kudu Swaha. Om Tade, Tutade, Tude. Mara Loka Vashyam Kudu Swaha. 3 more. Om Tade, Tutade, Tude. Mara Loka Vashyam Kudu Swaha. Om Tade, Tutade, Tude. Mara Loka Vashyam Kudu Swaha. Last one, best one. Om Tade, Tutade, Tude. Mara Loka Vashyam Kudu Swaha. So we'll be dedicating the next couple of minutes to our meditation, allowing the energies and vibrations of the mantra to penetrate our being. So just sit there nice and still. We won't hold it long, just a couple of minutes. Just feel the vibration of the mantra percolating, penetrating, and permeating your entire being. You might feel it as a swirl of clockwise energy moving through you. And they even call it a mantra garland, where it moves in a circular motion around your heart. Feel the vibrations of the mantra. And so now just come back into your being, feeling the energies of the Taurus mantra moving through you. And now we're going to dissolve the visualization. So let's just envision red influential Tara's emanation. She's got the diadem and all that energy coming out of her crown and all the red rays of her laughter in all 10 directions and her victory banner dissolving, gracefully receding into its original place within the mandala of the 21 Taras. And we watch as the mandala of Tara dissolves into luminous red light, and it directs itself towards your heart, and it swirls around, and it enters your heart, where a miniature form of this Tara is seated upon a lotus throne. And feel the red light travel through your body in a counterclockwise swirl, and then out of your heart, and it swirls through the room, around the building, around the grounds where you are, around your entire town, your county, your state, your country, your hemisphere, and then the entire world, the entire cosmos. Permeate the entire cosmos, and be sure to remind yourself that this Tara is always with you. Now, the very last thing, well, the next to the last thing we do is we offer the merit of our practice. So when we do this practice is very powerful. And when we do this practice, we want to offer the energy of this practice, the positive energy or merit produced by it, to spread through the vast universe. So we'll dedicate the merits of the practice to the greater collective consciousness of this world, with the intent of bringing healing and enlightenment not only to ourselves, but to all beings. We'll repeat the red influential Tara mantra one more time to seal our practice. Om Tare. Tu Tare. Ture. Mara. Loka. Vashya. Kuru. Swaha. So I want to thank you for practicing red influential Tara with me, Shraddha. And if you have any thing you'd like to share, any experiences or something that came up for you in the practice, feel free to do that right now.
Well, I really loved listening to your chanting and you were laughing as you were chanting. I loved that. It just made me feel so happy.
The supreme joy.
Yeah. And the meditation after was really powerful.
Wasn't it?
Oh,
My
yeah.
whole body was shaking.
Yeah, I'm still shaking.
Yeah, I mean, this is a powerful practice. And the fact that it kind of breaks down the ego, that's probably why only you and I are here. And I was thinking about this because I did have an experience with Guru Mai, which I can share with you. So one time I was in the darshan line, and I was with my little daughter. She was about 10 years old, and it was very, very crowded. And one of this very tall man who was in the darshan line, directing people, pushed my little daughter like very violently. And I got really mad at him. And then I took my daughter and I stormed off and went and left the darshan. So then when I got outside and I went and had a cup of tea and then I thought about it, I was like, well, that was probably uncalled for. That was just your ego rising up. You know, he was trying to do his job and it was very crowded and he didn't mean to do that. And you overreacted. So I decided that I would go to the kitchen or the omelet and I would buy a coconut. They sold coconuts there. So when you go and offer the coconut to the guru in darshan, the guru breaks your ego. So I went and I stood at the very back of the line at the end of the night, and I was like one of the last people to come up, and I came up with my coconut in my hand, you know, with my little coconut, came up with my hand, and then I offered it, and I bowed, and there were all these people surrounding Guru Mai, and she pointed at me. And she stopped and she took the feathers and she put them right on me. And she said, "You think you're so big, don't you?" And then and she laughed. And everybody behind her, all the darshan girls, all the people that were surrounding her, they all laughed and they even pointed at me and laughed. And I was mortified. But, you know, I'd asked to have my ego broken. So I bowed and I went back to my room. I put my daughter to bed and then I cried all night because it was extremely embarrassing. I was so embarrassed and so upset about being laughed at. Now, I accepted it. And the next day, I actually talked to another devotee about it. And they were just like, you know, she's powerful. You really got, and they had seen it. They had been there and they asked me if I was okay. And I was like, really? No. And they said, you know, this is powerful medicine. When you bring that coconut up there and you ask to have it broken, it gets broken. And I didn't really ever put two to the laughter part. I just thought it was really mean. So oftentimes when people get laughed at, they think it's really mean. But now I'm seeing it from a whole nother direction. Are you getting my viewpoint?
Yeah, right.
Like
Yeah.
what grace. She was red influential Tara in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And that was probably exactly what I needed in that moment. And in this moment too. And that got rid of like a lot of that bigness, that in self-importance that I was carrying around. Like, does everybody see how beautiful I am and where I am and how devoted I am and what a devotee I am and how devotional I am and how much seva I do and all that kind of thing. It just broke it. It smashed it like the coconut on the ground. Yeah, so that's my little sharing. But it's so funny how things can happen to you 20, 30 years ago. And then you start doing a different practice and the light bulb goes off.
Yeah.
In a new way. And you're like, shit, man. That was some powerful medicine.
Yeah.
So she's red influential Tara is powerful. So I want to thank you for being here. Anything else you want to share or say?
Oh, just that it's given me a lot to ponder.
Isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. So I'll send you the recording. You can just listen to it again a couple of times. But yet you'll start to see things come up. And you start to see how the laughter does break through and that you start to see the self-importance in yourself and how funny it is. and those attachments that you have that you think are so important. And it could be like friendships or like I'm a yoga teacher. Like I said, you know, I admit it. I have attachments to certain students who, you know, I consider friends. And then maybe if they don't come to class for a while or something, I might be upset, but not really. Because I see that it's just a joke. It's an attachment that is meaningless. They have their own lives. I shouldn't take this personally, and I really don't. But sometimes, these little practices bring it even into a clearer vision. I just give that as a little example. So anything in your life, your neighbors, your family, your family, they have everything. They give even your puppies. All right, well, give your puppies a big kiss for me. We're going to sign off. We got through this pretty quickly. It's only 7:45, so just enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank
And I'll
you.
send you a recording tomorrow.
All right.
So much
Thanks so
love
much.
to you. And namaste.
Namaste.
All right, keep the connection. And next time in August is Orange Poverty Removing Tarot. We can all use her.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, that's the next time. So I'll send you an email. That'll be in a month.
Okay.
Okay? Yeah.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.